Well, just when we thought we couldn't be surprised by spending at the Port of Houston, we took one last look.
Millions of your dollars spent. All the while, the port knew that state lawmakers were scrutinizing their every penny. Reporter Ted Oberg investigates.
Window open. Recording.
As the sun set above the state capitol on September 4th last year, lawmakers were getting set to question the Port of Houston about claims of mismanagement and lavish spending. But that night, a group of port brass were holed up here at Austin's Roaring Fork restaurant. On the night before testifying about lavish spending, the then port chairman opted for the most expensive thing on the menu, a $57 steak. You paid for it. You can't make this stuff up.
How do you change that culture? Exposing it, hopefully embarrassing people.
The next day, Chairman Edmonds was up bright and early to testify.
Let me begin by saying that I am truly and sincerely pleased to be with you today.
One of the issues in the report Edmonds was testifying about was how the port spends your money in what it calls the Promotion and Development Fund. The state report said the harm to the port's public image likely exceeds any benefit from some of the spending. So we looked through all $3.8 million of promotion and development spending for 2012 when the port was under investigation and when you'd think they'd be on their best behavior.
The taxpayers ought to be angry.
How about a $3,700 dinner at Del Frisco's on March 28th while entertaining a foreign delegation to the port? That's nearly $300 per person.
The tip alone was $575, and he was kind enough to add another $50.
And they did it again the next night. Same tab per person, all on your dime, this time at Perry's Steakhouse. The port says those fancy meals sealed the deal on 2 giant contracts.
It's the value of the contract, and it was a small investment in order to bring that business to the Port of Houston and generate that economic development.
The ends justify the means.
Yes.
They still spend money like drunks.
Wow.
Here's one you nor Dan Patrick will soon forget. Who wants to wait for a drink after a long day of work? Last fall, while the new state auditors were watching, the port plunked down nearly $172,000 of your dollars on a party for 2,500 customers. 2 hours of an open bar with the good booze, a little bit of food, and look there, the line in the contract that practically made State Senator Dan Patrick's eyes pop out.
Bartender will be assigned to serve the chairman and commissioners. Look, I just had a daughter that got married. I kind of know how these things work, you know? This is a big waste of money.
Yep, private bartenders for the port bosses just 2 weeks after they were told to control their spending. You paid for the bartenders, you paid for the drinks, too. Cheers.
There were multiple bartenders available for this particular event, and there was one that apparently was noted as where there would be that port commissioners could go to and that he would recognize, or he or she.
The port says it was a separate bartender, not a private bartender, but whatever they call it, you paid for it. Will there be a bartender assigned to them next time?
No.
Today at their regular meeting, port commissioners approved a new policy they say will better regulate this kind of spending. And while we were at that meeting, we invited port commissioners to come on camera to explain to you how they spend your money. Tomorrow at 6.